So peep this, fam. Donald Trump just announced a new mortgage rate. Right now, the current mortgage rate in the United States is a 30-year rate. He is announcing a 50-year rate. I'm trying not to laugh. I'm trying not to laugh. I love you guys. I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God. Hold on to your horses. Let's go ahead and bring it in here and you guys will see. Okay. So this account here, Eric Daughtry, he's always sharing like, Trump's doing this, it's great. Trump's doing that, it's great. But he doesn't give you the details. So I'm going to break down the details for you to show you what this would actually look like if you had a 50-year mortgage. He says, breaking. President Trump appears to announce his intention to normalize 50-year mortgages to make it easier for young people to buy a home via lower monthly payments. He cites FDR as when the 30-year mortgage started to spread nationwide. So yeah, your monthly payments would be lower, but he doesn't get into the details to show you what else is going to increase for you. But I'm going to break that down for you. So Donald Trump shared this apparently on Truth Social. He said, great American presidents, Lord Jesus, 30-year mortgage, Roosevelt, 50-year mortgage, President Trump. And if you want to laugh, you guys can just go ahead and start laughing now because it's going to get funnier as we go along. But it's hilarious to me because first thing I said to myself is that do people not realize that means you're going to be paying for 50 years and not 30 years? What this means, ladies and gentlemen, is that the bank is going to own your home for 50 years instead of 30 years. Now, before we get into the math of it all, let's go ahead and take a look at the average age of a first-time home buyer. This number has changed over the years. Shout out to Realtor.com, doing the damn thing. The typical first-time home buyer is now 40 years old, a record high. This was reported November 4th, 2025. 40, first home, 40. Times have changed, right? Times have definitely changed. The typical first-time home buyer in the U.S. is now 40 years old. That is a record high as affordability struggles price many younger families out of the market. So, before 2025, it was 38 years old the year before. It was 33 years old 5 years before that. So, you guys have to pardon me. I'm still getting over this wicked cold. 40 years old is the average age of the first-time home buyer. So, if you are buying a home at 40 years old and you have a 50-year mortgage, that means that the bank will own your home until you are 90. And that's if you make it to that far. That's one of the cons. Here's the other con. If you don't make it until you're 90 years old, then that means that, okay, well, I gave my house to another family member. I put that in my will. If something happens to me, then they would inherit my house. But they also now inherit that debt. Third con. This also means that you would work longer. See, the idea of home ownership, at least back in the day, the idea is that the way it used to be, at least for my parents and grandparents, is that if you buy a home, ideally in your 20s or your 30s, and you have that 30-year mortgage, that means that your home will be paid off by the time you're ready to retire. But with a 50-year mortgage and the average age of a first-time home buyer is 40, that means by the time you're ready to retire, your home is not going to be paid off, which means you are less likely to retire. This also reminds me of this push that has been coming from people like Ben Shapiro, this push that has been coming from people like Ben Shapiro to extend the retirement age. They want people to work longer. They want you to, keep working when you're like 80 years old. But what do the experts say? Let's start with Housing Wire. Let's start with these little guys first. They're pretty cool. Housing Wire. Trump proposes a 50-year mortgage to help affordability. So I want to show you, we'll make this bigger for you guys so you can see it. There we go. Let's look at some of the cons here. Here's a big one I think that a lot of people just may not be aware of. A longer fixed mortgage amortization on mortgage loans would lower monthly payments. So that's a good thing, right? But wait. Using Fannie Mae's mortgage loan calculator with a 20% down payment and a mortgage rate of 6.5-ish%, the breakdown below shows payments at different home prices and mortgage terms. This is just for principal and interest and doesn't include property taxes or insurance. So keep that in mind. So if it was a $300,000 home, 30-year fix, you're looking at about $1,500 a month. 40-year fix, $1,400 a month. 50-year fix, $1,300 a month. So some people are just looking at this and they're not looking at the full picture. So let's show you something else that is going to happen. While the longer mortgage term does reduce the monthly payment, it also reduces the amount of equity homeowners build. And at some point, the savings are minimal, as you see between the 40 and 50-year terms above. And you'll see that if we just hop back up here. See, it's really not that much of a difference between a 40-year mortgage, $1,891, 50-year, $1,822. Is really not that much of a difference. But the reality is, this does reduce the amount of equity in the home. Now, there is also a legal obstacle with the 50-year mortgage. After the great financial crisis, Congress passed the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Consumer Protection Act, which made mortgage underwriting stricter. The QM rule is part of that legislation and does not currently allow a 40 or 50-year mortgage. So that would have to be changed for this proposal to get widespread adoption. Let's look at another source. We're going to go to someone that talks about money a lot, and that is Dave Ramsey. Now, I don't agree with some of the things that Dave Ramsey says, some of the advice that he gives. I'm just kind of like, what the hell? Right? But I just want to show you different sources. So let's see what Dave Ramsey says. What is a 50-year mortgage? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. A 50-year mortgage is a housing loan with a fixed interest rate and lower monthly payments than you repay over 50 years. That's 600 months. Again, people, that is 600 months. It's the monster of mortgages, the Moby Dick of loans, and the mortgage that guarantees you'll be in debt for the rest of your adult life. So we'll get into this a little bit more. Why would anyone choose a 50-year mortgage? There is no good reason to put yourself into debt for that much time, but people do it, and they usually do it for one of these three reasons. You want lower monthly payments. You can buy a bigger house, but it's more that you can actually afford, or you can start building equity and refinance later. That is the hope there, right? But listen to what he says here. He says some people want to buy a house, but they aren't in good enough financial shape to qualify for the conventional loan. So they sign up for a 40-year mortgage, 50-year mortgage, and hope their circumstances will change. Maybe they think they'll get a promotion or refinance the home later, or they'll build equity and sell the house when the market is hotter. They plan to make small payments now, then one large payment later. Folks, this is broke people's logic. If you can't afford to buy a house now, you should rent, period. It's not a waste of money. It's a chance for you to pay off your debt, save for a strong down payment, and get financially ready for a better mortgage. So these are the warnings. That's another expert. Dave Ramsey, again, talks so much about money. And here's another one. And that is the amortization calculator. So we are going to do some math, ladies and gents, and I just want to show you what this actually is going to look at. Okay, I did not input these numbers here at all. This is just how this website shows up. As you can see, the interest rate over here towards the left is already at 6%. I didn't enter that. That is the standard as of right now. So let's be realistic. In my area, they don't have houses here under $500,000. So we are going to start with $500,000. I'm in Massachusetts, people. And we're going to show you both. On this site, we are going to do the 30-year first. And then I have another tab here where we're going to do 50-year and we're going to compare. Let me make it a little bit bigger for you guys. Okay, great. Calculate. If you have a loan amount for a home for $500,000, 30 years, you are looking at a total of 360 monthly payments. That's a little over $1 million. The total interest is over $579,000. Walk with me here. Say it with me. 360 monthly payments. The total interest is $579,000. They even have a graph here to show you what that looks like. The red line is the payment. Whee! The green line is the interest. Boop! And the blue line is the balance, right? And as you scroll down here, they even have the schedule to show you what that would look like. Again, remember, this doesn't include insurance. So they'll show you over time, if you had a monthly schedule, this is what it would look like. Your principal with this amount, the next month, this amount, and you can see it decreasing over time. This is the 30-year schedule. Let's go to 50 years. Again, we're getting the same loan amounts of $500,000. And we are going to change that loan to a 50-year loan. And we still have that interest rate of 6%. Let's calculate. Make it a little bit bigger for the people in the back. Let's look at this now. You now have a total of 600 monthly payments. This is 1.5 million, a little over 1.5 million overall. Your total interest is now over $1 million. 50-year loan. Let's look at that graph again, shall we? We have the red line here, which is your payment. Doop. And we have the green line for your interest. Boop. And the blue line for the balance. Boop. So this is what Donald Trump is not telling you. This is what all the people who are online bragging about this and saying, hell to the yeah, Donald Trump is doing the damn thing. Look at him looking out for the working class people. Ladies and gentlemen, the 50-year loan is a horrible idea. Not just because of the reasons I told you earlier about your bank. That bank is basically owning that home for 50 years instead of 30. Two, the fact that the average age of the first-time home buyer today is 40. And three, you lose the amount of equity in the home. Guys, this is the same calculator that I used when I was buying a home. I sat down in front of this calculator with the realtor and the finance dude, and we went through all of this. So I'm telling you from experience, as someone who did it. And I'm here to tell you, this is an insane idea. If you want to take out a 50-year loan, that is insane. So let's make that comparison again. 1.5 million for a total of 600 monthly payments. Over 1 million interest for the 50-year loan. Let's go back to the 30 years. We're comparing. For the 30-year loan, you have 360 monthly payments. For the 50-year loan, you have 600 monthly payments. So you have more payments with the 50-year loan, obviously. For the 30-year loan, your interest is a little over $579,000. For the 50-year loan, your interest is over $1 million. Long story short, this is a win for the banks that is disguised as fake populism for the people. The longer the bank owns your home, the more money the bank makes. So if you're paying more in interest, that is a win for the banks. Yeah, your mortgage payment monthly may be a couple $100 cheaper, let's say $200, or to be even more fair, let's say $300. But overall, in the end, you are paying more. Now, what I just showed you, a lot of people, they may not have time to sit down and do this. Maybe they never saw this calculator before. But if you went through the home buying process, at some point, you probably used this. So all the people who are cheerleading this on, don't cheer for this. It is fake populism. And he is trying to get you to believe that he's doing something for the little people when he's actually doing something that's going to benefit the banks. It is very rare that you see these politicians go forward and pass legislation or implement some type of policy that doesn't have corporate interests attached to it. So I got excited when I found out that we were going to be playing with numbers today. I was like, oh yeah, we're going to do some math. We're going to do some math. I want to show you another example as well. This gentleman, just to show you another example of what it would look like, he did this so beautifully.
50-year mortgages. That's like a real thing that they're going to launch here very, very soon. Trump just announced it, and I want to break down a 30-year mortgage for you and a 50-year mortgage for you because both of them have very high interest on the amount you pay. And would you even save any money with the 50-year mortgage, or is it just significantly worse? I'm going to break it down for you. All right, I got them both right here. I'm going to do a 6% rate. You guys can argue about rates in the comments. 6% just to make it even across the board. 30-year mortgage. Price, $500,000. Down payment, about 20% down, right? $100,000. Mortgage, the amount you're actually financing is $400,000. Payment, $2,400 a month. That does not include taxes and insurance. That's going to vary by state, okay? Interest, you're going to pay $463,000 in interest over a 30-year loan. I think most people don't know that, but maybe a lot do. Total cost, $963,000. You take the actual initial price plus the amount of interest that you paid. That's not including taxes and insurance, $963,000. Is the 50-year worth doing? Okay, I got them side by side right here. $500,000 price, $100,000 down, $400,000 mortgage, $2,100 payment. $2,400 to $21,000. You're saving $300 a month. But how much in interest do you pay? $863,000 versus $463,000, meaning the total cost for this home, if you take $863 plus $500,000, is $1.36 million. The 30-year and 50-year mortgage, the American dream.
So let me tell you something, honey buns. Okay, let me explain something to you. I just thought it was very interesting that Trump is trying to put forward these quote unquote disguised affordability economic policies. Now, it was right after Zohran Mamdani won that race. And a number of people, including Vivek Ramaswamy, came forward and said, we got to focus on affordability. We got to do something for the people. So what Donald Trump is actually doing is, okay, let me start implementing some type of policy that's going to help the working class people. But it's not really helping the working class people. It's helping the banks. And since a lot of people just don't have time to look at the devil in the details, people believe it. People believe it just like this guy this is just another account that is propped up by Elon Musk, Eric Daughtry. He does this a lot. He's one of them, but he's not, the only one. There are many like him. He's another one where he takes something that Trump says, or he takes something that, suits the Republican Party, but he never gives you the details. And Elon Musk, since he took over Twitter, one of the things that he has been doing is he's been elevating the right-wing accounts. So a lot of people, look, I want to show you. 14,000 people like this. And because Eric doesn't go into the details, they don't know what I just showed you. So that's the big problem that we're running into, ladies and gentlemen. And look, I got to say this. Look, I'm the first to tell you the housing crisis in this country is real. Yes, we need to do something for working class people. Yes, it's true. Young people can't afford to buy homes. My parents were able to buy homes well before they were 40. Some of you, probably your parents too. Hell, I knew people who bought a home when they were in their 20s. They were boomers or silent generation. Things have changed now. But however, there are a lot of people that are really desperate. And billionaires know that. And Donald Trump's a billionaire. He knows that. The politicians know that. And because they know there's so many people that's desperate, we have to be very careful that we do not allow our desperation to be tricked by fake populism. Because that shit ain't real. Pass this on to your friends. Share this when we clip this. We should post this one. I'll post it Monday. When we clip this, make sure you share this. If it's one thing I want you guys to share with your friends is this video. Make sure you have them watch this so they don't get tricked. So we talk about a new hope, and we all believe like there can be a new hope, right? You want to have hope, but we have to be very careful that our new hope is not a trick. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.